Intoxication. Something that can become very problematic if allowed to get out of hand, especially when it comes to relationships between people. Everyone, or at least a lot of people, myself included, have been in what's referred to as a toxic relationship for one or both people involved, as is the case in RWBY Comic issue number 4, where we delve a little bit further into the relationship that Blake and Adam have, and how it began. Now the comic continues immediately after the events of the fall of Beacon, as Blake has just run away from her friends again. She's very hard on herself, saying that that's the only way that she can save anyone she gets close to. And many times in her past, she should have run, should have been afraid, but didn't. And this is where it starts off on how she met Adam. At a White Fang rally where Sienna Khan is addressing the people of Menagerie. She's very good at wording things to get the people on her side, as she says the latest mission that the White Fang was on, Adam Toros and Ilya were involved in, and 3 members of the White Fang were captured. And we can only imagine the horrors that are befalling them in the hands of the humans. So definitely working the people of Menagerie in that aspect. And this is where Blake first notices Adam. The mask kind of startles her, and she asks her father, Gira and Kali, who are both at the rally, to go home. Of course, she's allowed to. Menagerie seems relatively safe, even though it is the middle of the night. But, yeah. And Gira also laments that, well, the radicals are kind of getting out of hand in the White Fang. So currently he is still in charge. This is about 3.5 years prior to the start of the RWBY series. So at this point, Gira's still in charge of the White Fang, and not really very happy with the radicals. Now, as Blake is leaving, she does encounter Adam yet again, as he's in kind of a back corner at the back of the crowd with his mask off and crying. And Blake sees his face and sees the scar that's on it. Now, Adam doesn't really seem the type to cry, but at this point, Blake should have been afraid. She says as much herself, but she wasn't. She was spellbound by him. And this is where some things are misinterpreted by Blake. Now, instead of asking, hey, please don't tell anyone about what you saw, no, Adam orders her not to say anything. Blake completely disregards this and says, you were friends with those people who were captured, right? That's why you were crying. I'm so sorry for your loss. Of course, Adam doesn't really acknowledge this, but instead goes to, you're Gira Belladonna's daughter, right? Why are you walking around at night? He does offer to walk her home, but he also says, you never know what monsters are out in the dark. And the next line that Blake speaks is, it would be a year before I saw him out in the daylight. So yeah, Adam's definitely one of those monsters that lurk in the dark. That is not exactly seen for what it is immediately, not until later. It's a nice little metaphor, I believe, for what Adam actually is. And Blake does encounter him a year later as she is joining on a White Fang mission. Adam and Blake do remember each other and seem to have a little bit of connection, and both are surprised to see each other. After Gira withdrew his support, so within that 1 year time Gira had left the White Fang, Adam is surprised to see Blake there, that she's still continuing with this. Well, of course, because she wants a better life for the Faunus and continues to want to support the White Fang in their movement. But she also seems to be aware of the extreme measures that Adam is taking, as she says the same thing to him. You could have left, paid penance for the extreme measures that you've taken, and gone to live a normal life, and yet you're still here. So Blake is under the impression, still spellbound, still intoxicated with Adam, that they are both on the same side and fighting for the same cause. Now, it skips through, 6 months at a time of various missions that Blake and Adam went on together as part of the White Fang. And one of them in particular is rescuing prisoners from a Schnee Dust Company mine. So within probably, I'd say, a year's time from the current timeline of the story, the Schnee Dust Company was keeping Faunus prisoners. Not just having Faunus workers in the mine, but Faunus prisoners in cages, etc. Again, these comics, you know, take it maybe with a grain of salt. We don't know exactly how canon the story is going to end up being, but Carrie Shawcross did say that these are considered canon currently. So yeah, the Schnee Dust Company is keeping Faunus prisoners, which I have a feeling will play a role in the events of Atlas, and also Jacques Schnee's downfall. Maybe impeaching him after, if he gets onto the council, and, you know, everything like that. Now, with that being the case, it leads up to the night before Blake leaves Adam, where Gira is talking about the latest mission that the Radicals went on, that they were like rabid dogs. And as Blake goes to confront Adam, there were apparently 6 dead on this mission. And Adam gleefully corrects her, saying that there were 10. Now, I'm guessing, since he was so happy about this, it was probably humans. And this mission that they went on, I think that it was actually the mission we saw in Adam's trailer before Volume 6, where they were raiding the Schnee Dust Company facility. There were people killed in that fight. Adam went and almost, was about to actually murder one of the Schnee Dust Company employees if Sienna didn't call him away. So I feel like that might be the mission that he was referring to, or that Blake and Adam were referring to. And then, of course, the day after is the train heist that we see in the Black trailer, and Blake is saying that she could never be afraid of Adam, and that's where their actual flashback leaves off. But, you know, Adam as a person, yeah, I can understand why Blake was saying, I promised I would never be afraid of you. So that's actually the promise that she made to Adam, and yet she does have a little bit of fear of him as he starts coming after her and her friends with a blade. So, you know, there is some justified fear there. And then it skips back to Blake as she considers herself poison, that everyone around her is worse off for knowing her, that she can never get close to anyone again. She can't allow herself to do that. And this right here is why toxic relationships are so bad. Whether people realize it or not, if people are in a situation like that, it ends up really affecting a person's mental state. And it's really sad that relationships like this exist, and if they go on for too long, people can be irreparably damaged. Luckily, Blake has the support systems that she needed, that she found at Beacon Academy, was able to reunite with her friends, with Team RWBY, and honestly, I have to give credit to Sun. He helped Blake a lot in this, forced her to acknowledge her friends, and forced her to realize that, no, these are true friends. You aren't hurting them, they aren't hurting you, you are making each other stronger. I gotta give credit to Sun, and also Yang for being her support network and the one who kind of got her to open up at the beginning, Weiss as well at the end of Volume 1. But this comic holds an important lesson. Not to mention, it also gives us a more solid picture of Adam's timeline. If we combine this with the Adam trailer that we got before Volume 6, it gives us a nice little timeline for Adam. Not a complete timeline. We don't know how or what led to him joining the White Fang. We don't know the exact situation that he grew up in where he got this scar. Obviously being a prisoner of the Schnee Dust Company at one point, now that we know for sure that Schnee Dust Company is keeping Faunus prisoners. So I'd like to get more of an expansion on his backstory. What led to him being this type of character? Now, he's always had the anger in him. We saw that in the Volume 6 trailer, but it never started out as sheer murdering. We see in that trailer that he gradually got to that point. The first time that he killed someone was to protect Gira, and people in the White Fang applauded him for that because he was a hero. He protected Gira. But this also gave Adam the idea that he could get back at the humans by exterminating them. And this was probably before the events of this comic, and then continued on after that as he started to gain more hatred, more spite, as Blake put it, towards the humans and wanted more of them to be killed. In fact, he even corrects Blake as when she asks him, or had asked him, how is this the same person that I knew who was crying in a back alley for his friends? She says, or he says, that I was never crying for them. I was crying for the fact that they couldn't have killed more humans. So that is Adam's character to its core. she should have realized that she should have been afraid, but as many people are in our life, in RWBY series, and in many other situations, you don't always see things for what it is. There's often something lurking beneath the surface, just waiting to be unveiled. But although this holds a very important lesson, I do like these comics, and I look forward to catching up on the rest of them as I got a little bit behind. Let me know what you guys think after learning a bit more about Adam and Blake's relationship, how it began and how it evolved to what we saw in the RWBY series. I hope to learn a little bit more about Adam and his beginnings, or how he started out, especially now that we're in Atlas and, you know, might have some dealings with the Schnee Dust Company now that Jacques is more prominent in the series, etc. So I hope we find out more. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. I look forward to discussing with you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you have not already and want some more RWBY content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.